Come in and leave your mind open. It's time we let love in.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Eric's house, and it's time to review Forever, the brand new Bon Jovi album. It's been out for a few days. I've listened to it at least 7 times, and it's time to talk about it track by track. I really didn't even expect a new Bon Jovi album this quickly. It is amazing how consistent this band has been since the beginning. Every 2 to 4 years, mark it down, a Bon Jovi album is coming out. Despite the fact that that last tour in 2022, John's vocals were completely gone, deteriorated. I'm thinking it's going to be a while before we get a new album. There maybe is going to be a box set or something, and there's a documentary coming out and things like that. But we got a new album, 12 fresh tracks, and I've been listening to it a lot. And I got to say, I'm pretty freaking impressed. I think this album is a lot better than 2020. I think this album has a little bit of everything. It's got some throwbacks to the early 90s and even to the 80s at times. It has rockers. It's got a lot of slower tracks, no doubt about that. And yes, there are some predictable tracks and there's some uninspiring tracks here and there. It's got a little bit of everything, but it's got enough that I'm super happy with it, including at least one song that I've already talked about that I thought was just one of the best songs in decades. So let's get into this thing. The first new album since 2020. And that album, little bit controversial, very heavily politicized. John's politics come deep into that. Whether you agree with those politics or not, the thing about the album is it's not timeless at all. It's very time specific. You got songs like Do What You Can, clearly about the COVID-19 pandemic. You got songs about George Floyd and things like this. It's just, whether, they're not saying they're bad songs, but the album is kind of fixed in that time. This album, I feel, is a lot more timeless. I feel like these are just more general, awesome songs. And even if and when Bon Jovi or John Bon Jovi is singing about politics or something current, which I can't really tell, but even if or when he is, it doesn't have to be taken. It's not like exact. It's not like, okay, clearly that's about COVID-19. Clearly that's about this. Clearly that's about that. Taking a knee or whatever, whatnot. Very much specific to a certain time. This album is not like that. But that's not really the only reason that I like it so much. I like it because it's really good. The songs are good. The songs are simply better. I think the music is overall better. John's vocals sound great. And let's get into it, starting with the first track, which, okay, now this song may be the worst on the album, but we got to start talking about it from song number 1, the first single on the album. So legendary, sort of the typical modern Bon Jovi song, the characteristics, clean pop sound without much rock, not much guitar. You got the woes in the background. There's no guitar solo to speak of. Moderately catchy chorus, fairly generic. I just didn't think there was nothing here that really stood out for me on this first single on the album. It's got a cool, clean guitar riff to open it. It kind of reminded me of Just Older. And then the chorus just has the banging snare. And it tries to be infectious. It doesn't really work for me. It's not a bad song. It just doesn't blow me away at all. I think the most important thing to take away from this song is that John's vocals sounded good. Whether that was studio magic or not, I mean, at least it's evident he can sing on an album, and it sounds like him. So that's really nice, and that was the biggest takeaway. It was actually a scary song to listen to as the first single. I'm like, oh, is this is representative of the album? I would say it's not. I mean, it's not a bad song, but it's definitely not a great song, in my opinion. I would give it a 6.5 out of 10. And that's, I believe, the lowest score any song on this album is going to get.
We made it look easy. We made it.
Then you go to We Made It Look Easy. And this is one of those unique tracks that I talked about. It's really not like any Bon Jovi song I can think of. It's got a cool rhythmic guitar playing this really cool riff throughout the verses, and it accompanies John's vocals nicely. And the way he sings it, it's kind of perfect for his damaged vocal cords. It just kind of holds on a note. There's not a lot of highs and lows, but it actually works. It actually works. I kind of think it sounds cool. This song just basically is reminiscing of the early days and thinking back. And it's kind of a beautiful song. I love the lyrics. I think it's got a cool and interesting chorus. It hits with some really nice keyboards and guitars filling it up in the background, and a really awesome drum pattern from Tico. It's a nice musical interlude in here. It leads back into a quick verse, and boom, you got that chorus again. So it's a pretty cool song. It's not exactly the song I'm looking for in a Bon Jovi album, but I like it anyway. I really enjoy it. I'm not really sure how to describe this one. It's an interesting song, and I like it a lot better than I remember an album called The Circle. If you remember that album, the second song on there kind of slowed down and did something interesting. But I never really loved that song, When We Were Beautiful. I think a lot of fans love it. It's okay. I think I like this one better than that, though. I think this is a kind of a slow song. It just kind of takes you, or like, whoa, what's this here? Interesting song. But I like it quite a bit. And I'm going to give this one, I'm going to go ahead and give it an 8 out of 10. So speaking of what I'm looking for in a Bon Jovi song, this is it! The best Bon Jovi song in at least a decade. The most recent song I can even think of that compares would be We Don't Run from Burning Bridges, the Brown Paper Bag album. But other than that, like 2020, no. I mean, there's a couple songs I like, but nothing like this. And then you had This House Is Not For Sale. Nothing like this. So this song has got a kick-ass guitar riff with the voice box, the classic voice box, and it rips into a killer verse. It does have some elements of Have a Nice Day in that verse, but that's okay with me. I think it's different enough to have its own identity. But what really makes this song kick is that big, long chorus. I had no idea this band still had it in them, but it rocks, and absolutely love the lyrics in this one. This is top-notch Bon Jovi, in my opinion. The only complaint I would have is the guitar solo is pretty plain. It just kind of follows the melody. I don't think it's Phil X playing it, because I think Phil X would have done something more with it, but that's the only complaint. And it's a small complaint because the song as a whole is just awesome. So I can live with that. I'll just knock off a teeny tiny bit from a 10, but I got to give this song a 9.8. It is definitely the best song on the album and the best song I've heard in a long mother effing long time from Bon Jovi. Listening to the album, I thought, okay, I'm happy now after Living Proof. Didn't expect anything to even get close to that, but then you have Waves, and what a song this is. It starts off with some beautiful guitar notes, and then it suddenly jumps into this awesome riff with a drum buildup, and then another sudden change into the kind of this acoustic-driven verse. And it really hits, and it's an incredible combination, and it absolutely works to set up a buildup and a powerful chorus. The lyrics, they say it in the lyrics, knocked me off my feet, right? It's part of the song. And that's pretty much what this song did. And then that awesome riff repeats before a second verse. It's powerful with the drums coming in. Great lead guitar in the background. The more I hear, the more I like it. It's a really impressive song right here. And it has a cool bridge back to the chorus. And this one actually has a full-fledged guitar solo, not just following a melody. A really cool guitar solo in this one. It just kind of completes this song for me. It's a really cool track. But really, those little guitar riffs throughout, not just the guitar solo, but there's little riffs throughout. They just kind of keep the song alive throughout the entire 3 minutes, 50 seconds of this song. And I was just completely impressed with Waves. It's another great track. I'm going to give this one a 9.5 out of 10.
Just keep growing and growing and growing. Wear seeds, trying to find a place in the weeds.
Next up, Seeds, and another really cool track, honestly. It's got constant drums. It's got a cool guitar riff. Again, kind of like We Made It Look Easy, but I think that the vocals are a little more melodic in this one, and it kind of builds up into cool pre-chorus, and just an uplifting song, a really cool song, awesome musical interludes throughout it. And Seeds is one of the more uplifting songs on the record. Just like Seeds, it'll probably grow on you after a few listens. At least it did for me. So I like this song. I love the music in this one. And I always love songs too that can kind of hold out a really cool instrumental at the end. And this one does for about maybe a minute, 45 seconds to a minute. It's not like super long at the end, kind of like Next 100 Years does, like 3 or 4 minutes going on and on or something of that nature. But it does have a big musical section at the end that is really cool. And it has a pretty damn infectious chorus that, you're not going to forget. It's cool. So I don't like this as much as Waves. It's a really nice song. Another kick-ass one. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
Let the preacher say love's favorite line. You may kiss the bride.
Kiss the Bride took a few listens to grow on me. Obviously, I knew right away it's a nice and pretty song, but it has a sweet, soft piano riff, lyrics that are obviously written by John about his daughter getting married, bittersweet feelings that come from that. And depending on how people relate to the song, I think it could be an absolute favorite for some, and for others, a complete lull in the record. Like I said, a beautiful melody. John sings it well. And there's some really nice musical interludes that have multiple clean guitars, a little acoustic, a little electric, piano and strings, and it's really beautiful. They go together really well. The mix is very nice. It's a powerful song. It's undeniably beautiful. But at this point in the album, there's been several songs, I think, on the slower side. This is the slowest and softest of all. So if you're looking for a serious rock album, yeah, this song, the placement of it might not be your favorite, and the song itself might not be, it probably won't be one of your favorites. But the lyrics, a little bit on the nose, but it's clearly written by John, and it can relate to any father who watches his little girl get married and go off to start a new life. So I like it every time. I like it a little more every time I hear it. It's a nice song. I'm gonna give it an 8. Let's go 8.5 out of 10.
These halls are city streets. No wrecking ball is gonna knock it down.
If you told me one of these songs on this album would sound kind of like an outtake from 1992's Keep the Faith, I would have said hell yes. This is that song, The People's House. The drum riff is kick-ass. With that, between that and some of the keyboards and the guitars, it really does. It sounds like Keep the Faith era to me. The guitars could have been a little stronger in the mix, but they're definitely there. And overall, another much needed rocker at this point on the album. And like I said, it has a sound I never thought I'd hear from this band again. The chorus is very good, catchy. I don't think it quite has the power of Living Proof, but what it does have is a much, much stronger guitar solo. And this one sounds like I think it was played by Phil X, or somebody who can play guitar pretty well. So I wish it was a little bit longer, the solo, but at least it's there. This song might have some of John's politics in there, but written in a way that it's not obvious which side, we know what side he's on, but it's not so obvious when you listen to it. I think it could be taken in a positive way, regardless of one's political leanings. So in that way, it's pretty damn cool. It's a cool song. I mean, I think everyone agrees People's House, being united is a good thing. How that would happen, I have no idea. But overall, this is a solid rocker. It's got a great drum beat, fantastic instruments, great vocals, just a solid throwback, just a kick-ass song from the early 90s. It's not really, but it sounds in a lot of ways like it is. Of course, John's not going to have as powerful of vocals as he had back then, but it's a lot closer than I thought we were ever going to get. The People's House. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
Make some noise, strike up the band, pull the paint off of the ceiling, sing down the walls of Jericho.
The start of Walls of Jericho took me aback the first time I heard it. And I thought, okay, I accidentally switched to a different band, because it doesn't sound like Bon Jovi, because the entire band contributes to the vocals, and it gives this deep and really powerful melodic sound that we haven't heard from this band since New Jersey in 1988. And then there's a solid full band instrumental that has an awesome guitar riff before entering into a very solid opening verse. And most of the choruses after that don't include the entire band on the vocals, a little more John-centric that we expect, but it does repeat it at least once more, which is cool. The guitars are higher in the mix in this song. It's an inspiring song. And I can see this one giving me a nice kick while I'm running or exercising. You know, it's just powerful. It's just killer. It's just a kick-ass song. It's definitely going to be on my playlist for the next 5K I do, for sure. It does have the na 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 in the chorus at one point at the end, but it goes along with the melody, and it's actually pretty infectious. It's pretty catchy. So it sounds cool, and this is a point of the album. I love the back-to-back from People's House to Walls of Jericho. Just a great back-to-back moment with a couple of throwback songs you don't really expect. At least I didn't. So I love this one here, and about the same as the Walls of Jericho. I'm going to say also 9 out of 10 for this song, but it's the sound. They just didn't expect that when the song hits. And I think they need to do it a little more often, to be honest. But most of the time, John's vocals are so heavy, it's cool to see other voices and hear other voices there for that opening chorus, and it's really cool. So Walls of Jericho, 9 out of 10.
Never be beautiful enough. I can't give you the
So after those two rockers, it's not surprising the album slows down again. This is an extremely simple song called I Wrote You a Song, and it borrows many themes and even exact lyrics from Elton John's Your Song. I don't think John was trying to hide that even, and it doesn't have anywhere near the power of that song or even some previous Bon Jovi songs like The Fighter, which had those great lyrics like, I should write down these words before I lose them, or write you a song just to use. I think that song is way better just, after a few listens of this. I mean, it's not a bad song. It's got some nice lyrics like, I'm almost afraid to sing it. How could it be beautiful enough? And it's got some nice acoustic guitars. It's super simple, I think is the point. It's supposed to be. But almost too simple. Like, it doesn't do a whole lot for me, to be honest. I'm sure many people will love it. But there's been so many Bon Jovi love songs lately that I love. Like Amen, Love Can, Labor of Love, that are so much better, not to mention all the classics from the 80s and 90s. So for me, when you look at Bon Jovi's catalog and all the love songs, this one is probably not going to be at the upper end, but it's not bad. I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
You give me faith when I'm losing hope. We may fair, but we never broke. The rain could fall and the wind would blow.
So next up, Living in Paradise. On first listen, I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it would grow on me. It hasn't that much. It's unlike many of the tracks on this album. I'm not sure that there's a whole lot new in this song. It's kind of got a lot of stuff we've heard before. It's not really a throwback, and it's not anything super unique either. So it might be one of the more forgettable songs, but I do like it. I like the verses. I like the chorus. I like the cool guitars in the background that are always doing something. There's also some cool like riffs that feel like some palm muting going on in the background. And it's got a cool pre-chorus. It's got a solid chorus. It's not great, but it's catchy enough, and it's got a positive vibe. Could be relatable for many people, because this song's about, like, from what I hear anyway, are relationships that's actually going strong and been going strong for a while. Not a topic you hear a lot of songs, right? Songs are always about new love. I love you so much, baby. I wanna be with you, or heartbreak. How could you leave me? Heartbreak, right? This is a song about a relationship that's been going. It's going strong. And there's a lot of people in that situation that don't get songs written for them, to relate to. So topic-wise, it's fresh, but music-wise, it's nothing overly special, but I still like it quite a bit. I'm going to say 7.5 out of 10 for Living in Paradise.
Baby looks the way she feels. And it almost seems surreal.
This song has a really cool tone, kind of a spooky riff, and an overall vibe that I'm digging, okay, from my first guitar, which is about someone's first guitar. In this case, it would be John's first guitar, clearly, because there are very specific lyrics about the 70s and about, old Kiss records. And so it's about John, but I think any guitar player could relate to it. And I'm a guitar player, And I can relate to it a little bit. I mean, the first time that I started actually playing along with songs, it is amazing. It's almost surreal, as the song says. But I like the sound of this song, the chorus, the cool effects, and it just gets stronger with each repeat. The lyrics are cool, could be a little cheesy to some though. Like, you're getting real deep for playing a guitar, which is a cool experience, but it's really taking it to the next level. And so I don't know how this is going to play with most fans. Obviously, the majority of Bon Jovi fans are not going to be guitar players exactly. So I don't know how relatability will work, but it's a cool song. The chorus is pretty repetitive. It's just, I'm in love with my first guitar. That's pretty much it. That's the chorus right there. So there's not a lot to it. I just love the vibe, I guess you would say. The kind of spookiness, the feel of getting, which didn't have to be about a guitar for me to love that. Could have been about various topics, but it seems to fit it pretty well. And there is a guitar solo, which there better be a guitar solo in this song. And it kind of ends with a guitar solo, and maybe it briefly goes back into the chorus. But I like it more with each listen. It's a cool song. Not sure how the general audience will like it. I'm going to say 8 out of 10. It's growing on me a lot. First time I was like, I don't know, this is weird, but it's growing on me a lot. So my first guitar, 8 out of 10.
The cheap bouquet of flowers in a one-man band with my heart in hand. The Hollow Man.
And then Hollow Man, a very perfect finish to this album. And this song kind of questions what you're going to do now when everything's been accomplished. There's nothing left to strive for. There's nothing left to fight for. I don't know what to do now, right? It's a slow song, but I think one of the better slow songs. Very powerful lyrics. Chorus is nothing groundbreaking, but it's very strong and very beautiful, and the mix is nice. The lyrics are really what stands out to me here. It's a very beautiful song lyrically, and a nice way to close out the album. It's still, I prefer some of the other slower songs from the past, like The Fighter, Not Running Anymore. There's so many great slow songs from the past 5 or 6 albums, and this one is one of them. I don't think it's quite up there, maybe top 5, but maybe top 10 from the slower songs in the I would say from 2000 to now. So I'm going to say 9 out of 10 for Hollow Man. And there you have it, a track-by-track review of Forever. This album has so much. I mean, throwbacks, new styles, boring songs, predictable songs, but also at least one in living proof, absolute banger, in my opinion, and a couple bangers. I would say the standouts, definitely, like I said, living proof. We Made It Look Easy, Waves for sure, Seeds for sure, The People's House and Walls of Jericho, and even Kiss the Bride is a beautiful song. It just kind of depends on the individual. And then there's a couple that I thought were not that great. I thought Legendary, nothing special there. I thought that Living in Paradise, nothing special. It's okay. I like it, but nothing super special. But it seems like at least 9 to 10 of these 12 songs are really good. So I gotta say, I'm highly impressed with this album. Highly impressed. Especially based on that last tour and coming off of that tour. I thought that was it, the end. The end will be together. Another great Bon Jovi song. But let me know what y'all think of this album, Forever. I'm impressed. I'll have a new ranking out soon and we'll see where it lands. But overall, excellent, excellent album. So put your thoughts in that comment section down below. I can't wait to hear what you guys thought of it. And we'll talk to you in the next video.